After completing this little game called Batman Arkham Asylum, you think, wow, that was great. And what if they could follow it up with a second game? Well, I guess we'll see. A little over a year following the release of Batman Arkham Asylum, you catch wind of Rocksteady's next entry in this supposed series of Batman games titled Batman Arkham City. Looking back at it in the present day, visually the games departure pretty heavily away from each other, and really it only makes sense for them to. There's a clear and stark contrast from being locked inside a madhouse insane asylum holding Gotham's most wanted and being forced to fight your way out of a maximum security prison built around an abandoned part of what some consider their once great city. But taking a closer look at the concept art for this subsequent entry in the series, we can at least see from the designs of the characters, things were supposed to look very different. So, with that being said, let's take another deep dive and deconstruct the concept art for Batman Arkham City. First up, taking a look at the concept art for Catwoman's execution. It depicts the very first event in the game where Catwoman is being held above an acid pit by Two-Face, and already this game starts off on a very strong note with the literal execution for Catwoman, but seen only in the concept art, it seems to have been planned to originally take place outside. Similar to the concept art for the Scarecrow confrontation from the last video, I think having this botched execution take place outside would have only added to the spectacle of the whole event, making it almost a public show for Two-Face's gang to watch for fun, and while also adding heavily to the serious tone for the rest of the game. I definitely think we missed out on all this taking place outside, with the possibility of a crowd forming around the entire thing. The museum. You know, I gotta preface this by saying the museum in Arkham City has got to be one of my favorite interiors in the entire game. Literally filled to the brim with Easter eggs and easily missable conversations. I think it's one spot where Rocksteady really honed in on their love for the universe his character resides in. But, and we're talking about a Dick Grayson-sized butt here, the only thing I wish they would have included was just more color. I just think the fact that everything has this very cool and cold tint to it just alters to the overall feeling you get from just looking around. But that's not to say it's necessarily a bad thing, because in the concept art, everything has this warm yet disgusting and dark tinge to it that really makes the museum feel more spooky and haunting. Now trust me, I know it's really nitpicky, but like I said before, this is my favorite interior in the entire game, so this being the only thing that I wish they would have changed is definitely for the best. Lazarus pit experimentation. Now I'll be honest, I'm drawing complete blanks looking at this right here. In game, the only times the Lazarus pit was shown was during the Ra's al Ghul boss fight and the Clayface boss fight, so in the concept art, I have absolutely no idea what these people in suits are doing. Maybe this could have been some sort of flashback scene, seeing as these people are wearing some pretty old-fashioned suits and top hats, kinda similar to the episode Shutdown from Batman the Animated Series. But honestly, I think even that's a bit of a stretch, trying to correlate the two. So I'll just leave this one up to you guys. What do you think they could have been depicting in this? Drop a comment and let me know. Diverting from the concept art depicting the city itself, because in all honesty, when you take a look at everything, it seems pretty close to what we actually got in game. So let's talk a little bit further about the concept art for the characters in the game, and let's just say they're more visually engaging than what we received. Starting off with the character that seems to have differed most from their initial inception compared to the final version. None other than the clown prince of crime himself, the Joker.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
Seen here in the concept art and in the actual notes in the concept art, it looks like the team of character designers really wanted to lean more into the Joker looking more grotesque and disease-ridden. Bandages and splotches of blood are seen all over his body, really further emphasizing the damage he took from the Venom transformation at the end of Arkham Asylum. And when you think about it, it all makes sense. While the Joker may be a sadistic maniac hell-bent on seeing the destruction of human life itself, at the end of the day, the Joker is just a normal human. And back in Arkham Asylum, when the Venom transformation happened, you can literally see his ribcage piercing through the sides of his abdomen. And that's just one of the things that the Venom made his body go through. But remember, The Joker is just a regular human, so going from being hopped up on the super drug, making you 50 times stronger than any regular human is supposed to be, and then back to normal, his wounds would have definitely showed that this is a version of the Joker that physically put his body over the realistic limit of what a regular human can take. And taking a look at the notes on this specific piece of concept art, it says from the artist, "My basic concept is to expose much more of the skin and body damage he sustained from his Venom transformation. I keep thinking of Sloth from the movie Seven, and maybe his face should look more skeletal. He should look like walking sickness." Just from reading that, one, it's very, very evident to see the love and passion being put into the look of Batman's famed arch nemesis. But it's also clear to see the creativity being shown here with a reference to the character the Sloth from the movie Seven. Personally, I've never seen it, but I can definitely see the resemblance. So reading the notes left by this developer alone, it's clear here that the design for the Joker was supposed to be a lot more hideous and sickly, and it really helps you put into perspective how ill the Joker actually was supposed to be. And just imagine seeing the Joker deteriorating before our eyes and seeing him more bony than he already is. But through the legendary performance by Mark Hamill himself, us the players still got to see how truly sick the Joker actually was, but visually, I think we still got an extremely classic design for the character overall. And moving on to the guy with fanatic narcissism, egocentrism, and megalomania crossed with obsessive compulsion, the Riddler.
Well, riddle me this. Was Green proud and ass kicked all over?
How exceedingly droll. I won't be needing a lawyer, you jumped-up security guard. I will represent myself.
Altogether, the design for the Riddler doesn't stray away too far from what's seen in the concept art, and honestly, that's definitely for the best. You know, little sidebar, these days it seems like trying to reinvent the wheel as far as character designs go has been taken way too far, because a lot of people, and myself included, often complain about some designs being overcomplicated or being completely different from what we have in the source material. And these costume designers gotta realize, if it ain't broke, then you probably shouldn't fix it. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. Let's move on. I really appreciate how this designer in specific seems to have really wanted to convey the whole OCD aspect of the Riddler just from his appearance, because right here it says, Edward Nygma, as a guy who dresses very OCD pristine, but in this case he had no choice but to get his hands dirty and literally roll up his sleeves. Maybe his hair could have been messed up from all the constant OCD scratching whenever he gets flustered. And honestly, I think that would have been a great addition to the game to really show how badly Batman was getting underneath the Riddler's skin. Every single time he successfully solves one of his death traps and puzzles, only furthering the Riddler showcasing his obsessive nature for always wanting to win. And I'm very happy with the look that we got, because somewhere in an alternate reality, this is what the Riddler looks like in Arkham City. Yeah, not very fitting to have him in what essentially seems like a onesie with a bow tie. But moving on to the man that got turned into the living embodiment of indecisiveness, Two-Face.
Let's see if the coin thinks you're telling the truth. This court is now in session.
Little disclaimer, I got this picture from the Batman Arkham Wiki, so I'm not even completely sure if this was meant for Arkham City, so take the validity of this art with a grain of salt. Not too much to talk about here, as this is the only piece of concept art I could find for Harvey, but it's just interesting to note that it seems that they were planning to have him wear some sort of prosthesis for the burnt half of his face, and while we didn't get to see this look in Arkham City, we did thankfully see a game depict this version of Two-Face in Telltale's Batman series. Great games, by the way, and I still would like to see a 3rd season. And finally, Harley Quinn.
See? It hurts, don't it?
What have you done?
Now you know how it feels.
Now, I have to tread very lightly when it comes to talking about the way they wanted Harley to look, because let's just say that they definitely exaggerated the whole sexy jester, emo, BDSM look for her. So, with that in mind, I think the design that we got for her ended up being wildly more tame and a lot more tasteful for the position she took in the plot for the game. When it came to the promotional concept art, Rocksteady absolutely knocked it out of the park with these super bleak pictures of the notable characters in the game. As you can see, they went with an all-over black and white aesthetic with pops of color coming from the standout colors on the character designs, like the Riddler and Joker's color being green and Nightwing's color being blue, while the rest of the artwork featured the main pop of color being red. To me, it's very interesting to see the pop of color they chose for Batman was red, and it seems to be mostly represented by blood either coming from himself or coming from the endless amount of criminals you can put in their place. And it's definitely fitting since Batman hasn't always been known for wearing the most colorful attire. But in the end, comparing the initial concepts for not only the environment of the city, but also the designs of the characters, it's clear that the original vision for the game was supposed to be a lot different. But definitely not to say that it's a bad thing, because while we did miss out on what could have been, we were blessed with the greatest Batman game of all time.
What the hell happened in there? Batman! What happened?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for showing love on the previous video, because truth be told, I'm at a rather low point in my life right now, and you know, to see something that I came up with from just mere thoughts floating around in my mind, and to, you know, actually have it be appreciated by someone other than myself, like, you know, you, the people of the internet, it means a lot to me. I just need you to know that. So again, thank you for showing love, and thank you for tuning in. It really does mean the universe to me, not the world. It means the universe to me. But another thing I need you to know is that this is my second channel where you'll be seeing lots of videos that differ from each other. Like right now, I'm posting my old Batman videos from my main channel, and eventually I'll be posting literally whatever good idea comes to mind, that comes to my mind. So definitely be prepared for that. But if you're interested in cars, I definitely would consider checking out my main channel, as that's where, like, you know, my primary focus will be when it comes to making content. And I will say, I think I have a pretty cool car. I have a 2019 Mazda Miata, if you know what that is. I modify it and I drive it at the speed limit. Don't look any further into that. So yeah, if you're into cars, definitely consider checking that out. But with that said, thank you for watching. I'm Gibson, and this is the Spaceboy channel.